you should come to the review. We're showing 35 all the
I
time.
go to the review all the time.
Really? I have
Yes.
never. Well, I don't see you, but maybe.
Oh well, I'm sorry. Well, Serena,
You should tell
I
me
don't.
when
I
we're
don't
coming.
announce my presence. I mean, I do that.
Wait. Yes, you do.
I'm going to now.
I mean, he's had you on the show twice. He must be a fan of the review.
I love you.
As the year ends and we look back on the films that made an impact on us, what do those movies say about us as people, our society, and the film industry as a whole? Can we expect anything better going forward? Having seen new indie projects succeed where gigantic auteurs have failed, should this give us pause or hope? We're talking movies, we're talking our favorite films of 2024, and if you can't guess from my kind of odd opening, here to help us out are the hosts of the Movies and Chaos podcast, Serena Whitney and Mark Palermo. They're the only, or it's Palermo, the only other film podcast you should be watching.
Serena, Mark, welcome to the show. Mark, I hope you didn't take offense at my best attempt at. Actually, it was my best attempt at trying to mimc your monologues there.
No, it was beautiful. Yeah.
you have much more insightful thing to say. I'm like, and I told Scott, I'm like, I want to try something different in honor of your show. I am, like I said, a very big fan of your show. So.
It's appreciated. I mean, part of the reason I do that on our show is, and Serena does it sometimes too, is that it's like, it just keeps me in practice of writing things when I don't have something specific to work on at that time. So I like the challenge of it.
Yeah, so actually this is a perfect, so Mark Palermo, he's a former critic, co-screenwriter of the 2011 film Detention. And so can you explain Thrillema in Halifax?
Sure. So Thrillema is I call it a cult film series. There's been times where it's been strictly horror movies, but I try to branch it out a bit to, different cult genres, horror and sci-fi or action or just like weird movies in general. It's weird movies. And it's once a month. We have screenings at the Natural History Museum, which has a small theater. So I like the opportunity to, you can show Frankenhooker in a museum and make it a learning experience. It's kind of a fun thing.
So it moves around. It's not a standard location.
No, it's always in the Natural History Museum's theater.
Oh, cool.
It started out in an actual cinema in Dartmouth, which is the Shelbyville to Halifax to Springfield, but that theater closed, and now we take what we can get.
And obviously, again, thanks. Come back, Serena, former critic, programmer of the Revue Cinema in Toronto. Is there any? I feel like is there supposed to be more in that bio?
I feel like there's a lot now, but I'm the programming director at the Revue, the creator of Drunken Cinema, and also a writer and screenwriter. And I may have a project on the go that might happen next summer. So hopefully I can talk about that once it gets closer to.
Yeah, I'm stoked to find out more on that.
Yeah.
And you just won like a critics award or something like that. I saw on Twitter. I'm not calling it X. I refuse to do that. So
yeah. Yeah, no, I woke up to it. I was having a nap and I was like, my one day off, and I'm like, who is bothering me? And then I just got a lot of congratulations, and I didn't realize that I got a special citation. I just got an invite to the gala. It's in February 24th. And so that means I have to, wear something nice and get in shape. So that is kind of going with my New Year's resolution anyway. So
what is it? The Toronto Film Critics Association? Is that who it is? Or
yeah. I've never been. It's kind of weird because I was a Toronto critic, but it's like almost like I'm like, how do you get into this group? But I'll find out.
You're there with the elites now. You're going to be hanging out with the Globe and Mail, and so basically now you can just stop having any sensible thing to say about film or movies, because most of those like mainstream media people, you can tell they're usually just like jerking off the studios or just being contrarian, right? So
Yeah, I'll have to have a speech ready, so I'm not even ready for that. But it's a nice honor to be. I think that we're getting it specifically because of what we went through this summer, and I think that keeping arts and culture alive in especially in Toronto, which is kind of dying off, that we were kind of the exception, and it was a good like a good ending, a happy ending. But I just hope that other people can like when you see something dying or see a landlord trying to take over a business, I think it's important that everybody be loud because sometimes your voices matter and they can change an outcome.
Well, you did. Like you guys, you and everybody who was involved. The review still exists because of the work that everybody did, including yourself and your team. So, congratulations on that.
Well, thank you.
Scott, do you want to ask anything before I ask more questions, and then we'll start talking about movies?
Yeah. I just want to say, if you guys do the copyright infringement suit, just make sure Kris is the only liable person for stealing your shtick, because I did not agree to it. And I said,
no, it's flattering. It's great.
Flattering.
Mark, do you want to talk a bit about Detention? Like when I was doing my research on this, it's like John Hughes slasher like how would you describe Detention?
Wow, it's harder for me to describe than it should be. So yeah, Detention is a lot of genres. I mean, people called it like a kitchen sink movie in some of the reviews when it opened. So yeah, I'd say like it started the writing process started as a slasher comedy and then evolved to kind of take on elements of time travel and body swapping. And I don't know, my thing was like, I was a big fan, not only of horror movies, but also of teen movies. And I wanted to write, it's a very kind of pretentious thing to say, but you got to start somewhere. I wanted to write the ultimate teen movie. And the idea was that the goal with that was like, I just wanted to show like how heightened teenage life was by bringing all these genres together. And Joseph Kahn, who co-wrote the script with me and directed the movie, was on board with that too. So, we came up with the story together.
So did you actually go out? Like, where were you guys filming?
Yeah, I was on set the entire time. It's a 56-day shoot, and I was there for 55 of those days. The one day I missed, I was just exhausted. It was the very last day, and it was an insert shot of a bear in a desert. So that's what kind of movie it is. But it was filmed in Los Angeles and at Santa Monica High and University High were the two high schools we shot at. And yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, it's like I'm a co-producer on the movie too, so I did a lot of location scouting for it, like not by myself. But one of the issues with LA is there's no forests in LA, and we needed a woods in one part. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a strange landscape there because I went to school in Halifax, and it's Canada. It's woods, and that was my high school experience. So
was it your first experience to like Los Angeles? Or had you been back and forth for other reasons? Or was this? Yeah.
No, I'd visited it once when I was like 22. And then I was a film critic at the Coast, which is, you're in Toronto, right? The Coast is like Now magazine in Toronto.
Oh, okay.
It was our alternative like arts weekly. And I was the film critic there for 10 years. And I reviewed Torque, which was Joseph Kahn's first feature film. I didn't know who he was at the time, but like after I really liked the movie, and most critics didn't. And so I noticed on Joseph Kahn's website he had all these quotes from different critics, kind of showing like the acclaim it got, even though it was very cherry picked. And then I wrote them as like, I like this movie more than almost all these people. You should quote my review. I didn't know that he was the administrator of his own site, but he wrote me back. It was like, oh yeah, and we became friends. We just started like emailing each other, and then I started writing like treatments for music videos and commercials for him. So I was in LA like working on that. And then eventually we just like, I know Torque bombed, but we should do a movie together. And, just I was like 27. I'm like, I want to give you the best script you've ever worked with. So, I mean, I'm quite narcissistic at that age, but you gotta try.
So when was the last time, like, are you still directing, writing? Like, are you,
I mean, every project's a hustle. Joseph and me have written another script together. I'm waiting on notes so we can do another draft of that. I do my own projects here though. I've always kind of done like just like $500 movies in Halifax, and I like doing that. I don't really do this as a career, as a job necessarily. Like my goal is I just need to make stuff, and I want to kind of get my voice out there. So yeah, I'm working. I have a bunch of scripts like that I want to shoot next year of short films and things in Halifax too.
Amazing. Serena, other than the gala coming up, because again, normally this is kind of our shameless self-promotion, do you have anything that you really want to pitch before we start talking about some movies?
Not really. I mean, like right now it's just being busy with the review and like our new year of programming, and just I guess my next big thing that I'm going to be presenting is Charlie's Angels, the 25th anniversary screening, which is basically sold out. But yeah, we're gonna have a lot more on the go next year. I'm just taking a break for the holidays and then going right into like programming, like just doing other things that haven't been done at theaters, and that's something I'm trying to do right now. And I am working on some projects, but I can't, it's too early to tell anything good news at least. So yeah.
And what about you, Mark? Do you have anything like up and coming other than that script that you're kind of developing?
Oh, it's funny. My mind always goes blank when people ask me these questions about myself. But yeah, I've been working on. I don't want to spoil it just because I kind of lose my incentive to do something if I tell too many people about it. But I've been writing a nonfiction book for a while on films.
Oh wow.
And I would like to kind of look for a publisher for that this year. I've finished the first draft of it, but a lot has kind of changed in the film landscape since I wrote some of that. So it needs a big rewrite for sure.
So are you going to be the next Pauline Kael? Is that the goal here? Or?
Oh no, it's I don't know if it's possible. Can there be a Pauline Kael anymore? Is the do movie critics matter as much now? You know, not
That
that
sounds like the opening of your next monologue.
maybe, yeah. I mean, we were talking. We had Jen Yamato on the last show, and she's a critic, and like I was asking her, like, you know, it just feels like Letterbox kids are like people are reading Letterbox. Like, who's going to the Pauline Kaels out there now? I don't know. It's an interesting job.
Well, and this is again, and not to get too sidetracked, but this is the question between, do gatekeepers sometimes help? Right? Because when you had to be at the LA Times or Globe and Mail, or like there was a certain not everybody's voice got the same volume, right? So you could get somebody who actually knows what the fuck they're talking about giving you information versus, you know, whatever, Film Critic 69 just shitting on movies all day, all night, and they're the ones that people are listening to, right? So
no, exactly, yeah. I mean, it's true. There's something to be said for expertise, and you do see a lot of film opinions on Letterboxd that are like, this movie's bad because the bad guy is unlikable, and it's just like, what he's supposed to be, you know. But at the same time, I'm interested. I find it interesting also hearing like what the like new generation of kids think about movies, and I think a lot of the old guard is kind of like taken aback by that. Like all this talk of vibes now and stuff is different, right? You know,
There's a power shift for sure. And I think a lot of people care about what the public says, and it's a lot quicker for people to use Letterboxd and put out review than a reviewer. Sometimes there's embargoes, and the Letterboxd community doesn't give a shit about that.
Yeah.
And you can see what your friends think, or like you know, like if I like there's certain people that I trust their opinions, you know. So, but you get to see all the opinions all at once in like one screen, instead of just like going to your favorite critics. And
yeah, I agree. I think Letterboxd is like as useful as just a gauge for what people in general, not critics, think of a movie, right? My take is if the average on Letterboxd is less than a 3.0, there's probably a problem with the movie for most people.
Yeah.
Interesting. Actually, that's a very good metric, because you're basically crowdsourcing your information, right? So yeah. You guys ready to do this, or do you want to chat about some other stuff before we talk about our favorite films of 2024?
Oh, it's up to you. What do you think, Serena?
Let's go into it.
Yeah.
So
there is I need to catch a flight.
I was going to say yes. Yeah. So Scott, I will hand it over to you because you're kind of a co-host here. So
kinda. All right. So the first movie I liked a lot was the Book of Clarence. I don't know if you guys seen it,
I have not.
but for me, it was like old school Cecil B. DeMille with Quentin Tarantino's like revisionist like history movie. So it's pretty much the crucifixion of Christ, but revised, and it's super fun. I didn't write many notes on here because Kris was just like, just say the movie and people are going to talk about it. But it's with Lakeith. I always mispronounce his last. Sorry,
Stansfield.
yes, and he plays Clarence, who is pretty much a con artist who's trying to become the 13th apostle, and he then becomes Jesus Christ, but he gets crucified, and Benedict Cumberbatch plays just like a poor man who, you know, is the symbolized version of what Jesus is now, and he actually takes all the credit, kind of thing. But it's super fun. The cast is amazing, but I never saw many people talking about this movie at all, and they came out like at the beginning of the year.
Is this streaming anywhere? I think I remember hearing about it, but
Yeah, I'd never watched it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's on Crave now.
Yeah, it looks like it's on Crave. You can rent it on, or it's also on Amazon, YouTube, and Google Play Movies and TV. Yeah, it kind of looked like it's like a almost like a black take on life, of like with the Life of Brian kind of vibe. Probably a little less comedic though.
No, it's super funny, man.
Oh, is it super funny? Okay.
Oh yeah, it's super fucking funny.
It's got a solid cast, and I mean, it also did really well as far as it's like box office. It had a 40. Oh, it did not. I got those inverted. It had a $40 million budget, and it did $6.2 million.
Yeah, I don't
Really?
think. Yeah, it's directed by James Samuel, who did the other Lakeith Stanfield movie where he ends up becoming a horse at the end.
wasn't that Boots Riley?
I'm
Sorry to bother you.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, that sounds like something I should watch over the holiday.
Yeah, I can't believe I missed that. That looks really good, Scott.
Okay, I'm gonna stop talking now because all you guys just kept quiet. You're like,
well, yeah, we're
what
just
kind
like,
of fucking movies are you?
Like, I
Like,
haven't
what
even
kind of
heard
fucking
of this
movies are
movie.
you watching?
And you know what else? Screw you guys. I'm going home.
What is like the comedy style of it? Is it like absurdist? Is it parody?
Yeah,
Is it like Sorry to Bother You?
Yeah, very, very parodied. I was gonna say Omar Shea. He plays a warrior kind of thing that gets freed by Clarence, and he has like he's invincible, can never die, but he has the one fault, which is his Achilles. So then you just see people just constantly trying to throw shit at his feet while he's running to try to take him down, and it's just funny to watch, kind of thing.
Awesome. Cool.
Serena, let's move on to you. What else you got on this list?
Oh, what's like we're just going by our favorite of the year?
Yeah, just like movies you like, because what we found is like we would do the best of, and then so many of those would end up in like an Oscar show in like 2 months. So
right.
Well, okay. I'll start with the one that's not going to end up on an Oscar list whatsoever. So my favorite of the year was Blink Twice. I love that film. I went into that not knowing anything about it. And I do think like certain people should know they're going to get into. There is a warning before the movie, which I've never seen before. And it's directed by Zoe Kravitz. It's a horror film, a comedy. It deals with, sexual assault, sexual violence. And you'd think that would be not a good time, but the movie still manages to be pretty entertaining and funny before and after all those scenes. And I just found it really clever. The music was great. Thought it was well shot. I found the acting was like honestly amazing. Having a lot of the actors play against type or play icky roles and still manage to be entertaining and charming was very very cool. And it was honestly, sadly, a really relevant movie to watch what's going on in Hollywood today. And I
Yeah.
would say I liked Anora as well. I just watched Anora.
Mhm.
And I really liked how it was also very dark, kind of funny, kind of a darker version of Pretty Woman. And I do like what it has to say about transactional relationships versus emotional relationships and the control some like a sex worker has to deal with the battle of transactional and emotional
So
relationships.
I want to come back to Honora because so first off, I mean I want to talk about Blink Twice. Mark, did you see Blink Twice? I know Mark had to see Blink Twice because I had the entire ending section
Oh
spoiled
shit! Yeah, we do
because I
that.
was
Sorry.
listening to the fucking Movies and Chaos podcast, and I'm like, oh, I've already seen The Substance. I'll just let this keep playing while I was driving, and then bam, 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 and I'm like, well, and you know what?
Yeah, it's a hard movie to talk about. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, because like the twist is so critical, and again, as Serena brought up, like this, there's some very graphic stuff, and it's kind of subtle at first, and then it gets more obvious. And but that said, so I'm not going to give away the twist because if you guys haven't seen Blink Twice out there, definitely go see it. Fantastic cast, yeah, great cinematography. But even knowing the twist, it was still enjoyable to watch because it is so well made.
Yeah, and also all those icky parts are really shot through a female lens, so they are icky, but they also are. It's kind of like you have to fill in the blanks yourselves a lot of the time. I think there's only one scene where you're like, "Ugh," but yeah, I think it was really well done.
Would you change anything about that film, or is there like, do you feel like there's a way to make it even better, shorter? Any like did you have any pacing issues?
No, I mean, I think the only thing I didn't really like was the ending. I didn't really love the ending, but also if you went like sitting with it, it was just interpreting how she could have, there was three different versions of what I thought could have happened at the end of that film. One was disturbing, one was like sad, and one was just like, oh, just like if they do a sequel, what's the sequel going to be called? Dick Island? I don't know.
Well, wasn't it supposed to be Pussy Island?
It was supposed to be called Pussy Island.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So you could be like Blink Twice too, Pussy Island.
Well, technically not based on the ending.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yes.
It'd be Fuckboy
Again, I'm trying
Island.
to
Wait, isn't
not-
that a show already?
Oh, I'm sure
Fuckboy
it
It is,
Island a
yeah,
show?
it is. Yeah, yeah. I watched one episode of Fuckboy Island.
What about you, Mark? What's on your list?
I mean, okay, so I found like the whole year, I don't think I saw a movie that I thought was like a masterpiece or anything, but I like Dune Part Two a lot.
Oh, interesting. You and Scott will get along great.
Okay, I feel like
I'm now not watching Detention. I am not going to watch that.
not a fan at all. Okay, I mean, I don't know. I just felt like it kind of. I enjoyed Dune Part One, but I think there's a lot of setup, a lot of names you got to remember in that film. And I think this movie just kind of delivered the goods of like kind of amazing, especially in IMAX, action scenes. And I think what Villeneuve does with the effects that I don't get from a lot of like CG movies is you really feel like the weight of these enormous ships and stuff, especially on a big screen. I think there's like a kind of anger in it that's sort of reflective of a lot of like how people are feeling now, a lot of foreign wars that are happening, especially in terms of I don't know, this idea of the resistance that you got. I don't know if you guys watched Anora, but I thought that show was also that was like 2 years ago, but is also really good at this feeling of resistance that you don't get in much science fiction. You don't even get in other Star Wars movies. So yeah, I mean, I think it is a cold film, which is often Villeneuve's problem, but that's his style, and I don't know. I think I'm proud to be Canadian when I see his films too.
I mean, I find that Villeneuve. I've made this statement on the show before, and I haven't been canceled yet. But like, I almost feel like Villeneuve is putting no effort into directing the actors anymore. It's all cinematics, like it's all beautifully shot and stuff, and then the actors kind of show up, and their dialogue is kind of meh. It's wooden. And I actually found that film anticlimactic. Like the whole battle, like that resistance scene that they're leading up to is like, and it's on you and it's almost over. And then we're into single-hand combat. It was like, bah, 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 bah. And that I was like, wow, I just spent, I don't know, whatever, eight hours of my life between the two movies to get to this point. and you're done.
Yeah, true. I mean, he might not be done. There could be Dune Messiah as the third movie. I think there might be, but I mean, those are all valid points. And I think like there's things missing. There's things missing in Villeneuve's style, but I take it like as each one as an experience, and I guess what it delivers versus what it's missing. There's stuff I take from it. Like the things you're saying, I feel that way about a lot of Christopher Nolan movies. Like I find Nolan's style is very kind of inhuman in a way, and people and like, but Nolan is always like, feel this now, feel this now. That there's no room for me to be myself watching a movie when I see his stuff. It's always I find it like very manipulative in terms of like I think The Dark Knight Rises is the worst for that. It's like, now this is the worst thing you've ever seen. Now this is, and it's just like, just give me a little bit of space here. And I see those two directors compared a lot. But I think there's something interesting about Villeneuve as a French Canadian, in that all his movies are about two cultures meeting and the kind of tension that comes out of that. And Dune is totally about that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, sometimes like I am in many ways just a sensationalist too. I like the spectacle of things when it works, you know?
Scott or Sam,
Yeah,
do you have anything else?
well, I'm gonna say Dune 2 was also on my list. But Mark, you forgot the one part about it that made it amazing, and that was the popcorn bucket.
Yeah, boy.
Oh, I didn't get one. Yeah, I should have.
Yeah.
Oh,
I haven't seen the
okay.
movie, but I know about that popcorn.
I have it. It's in the back. I literally bought it. But yeah,
Like
I think
evil sex toy. Okay.
yeah.
Scott's
it's
married, so there's a
it's
real
brought
reason for him
comfort
to have
in the
that
middle
popcorn
of the
bucket.
night.
What was it called? What were people calling it? I remember it
Oh,
had
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure they call it things, but
Yeah. But I'll say with Dune 2, the thing I appreciate more, like I thought, like in terms of Chris's criticism, I thought the actors in this one got to do a lot more than in part
sure.
one. Like Zendaya got to do, like she wasn't in a perfume commercial like she was in the first one.
right.
And then I thought fucking Austin Butler like fucking killed it in this movie too.
Oh yeah, the cast is really interesting in it actually, and Zendaya is like an interesting case because sometimes I liked Challengers, but I think she's sort of out of her league in the character. Like she's playing like a kind of risky business Rebecca De Mornay type in that, and that's just not how I see her. I think Zendaya is very girl next door, but I think she's good in the Spider-Man movies, and I think she's good in Dune too. You don't get an idea from the first Dune if she's going to work in it or not. But yeah, I like kind of her like naivety in it, like with all that's going on, and realizing her new boyfriend is the chosen one and not being too happy about it.
Yeah, I think in Challengers, I did a TikTok about this, and I was like, Challengers is a good way to see good, bad, and awful. Good, awesome, and bad acting all at the same time. And I'm talking about Zendaya. Like there were scenes where it worked, there was great chemistry, and then there was other times that like the two other much more experienced like theater actors and stuff like that, they're just fucking blowing her away. Like
right.
she wasn't working, and I think that she was actually really miscast in that film. I know that helps you get your big budget, but I don't think that was not the role for her. She was because the other two actors, they became their characters, and then there was Zendaya, who's being like, she's too big for a little indie film like that. That film also has a great soundtrack with Atticus Ross and what's his name there from Nine Inch Nails, Trent Reznor's soundtrack.
Yeah,
it wouldn't have been made without her though, and that's the thing, you know. And
well, you could just make it for less money, right? Like,
yeah.
I think that it wouldn't have gotten the attention it had. I mean, it became so meme worthy this year. Like, I do think it's overhyped. I thought it was a very overhyped.
That threesome scene, I was like, they talked about that threesome scene, and then you get there, and it's like some kissing, and that's it. I'm like, okay, like you didn't need an entire media pitch behind this thing.
I know, you made it seem it's going to be like the wild things.
Yes.
well, yeah, it's true. The actual sex scenes and Challengers are the tennis matches, though, which is the kind of strange way it's structured. I found that movie interesting because you're right. It was very meme worthy. It became like kind of an event in a way that I wouldn't have suspected, and it's very. The style of that movie is actually very, very Italian in a way. There's kind of like giallo elements to the way like music is placed over certain scenes and stuff, which I found really interesting. Yeah, and I don't know. I think the way that like kids responded to it, and I don't mean like 5-year-olds, but like university kids, was I don't know. I think represents some kind of shift in people's film going tastes a little bit.
And that's where Zendaya 2 does work, is that there's an entire generation of film that are going to, I can never say the Italian director's last name properly, so I'm not even going to try. But that would normally not be watched. Yes, yeah, watching his films, but you go like, oh, it's Zendaya. And it was pitched more like a young person's film versus like some film for movie nerds to watch. You know what I mean? So
it definitely came off like, because one of my favorite films of all time is one of his films is A Bigger Splash. I love that movie. And it came off like A Bigger Splash Junior. Like it was just like, oh, if you haven't seen this, it basically talks about, sexual tension between everybody involved in that film, all the characters involved in that film. And if they did fuck or they didn't fuck, but you know deep down they all did. But that's what this one felt like. But it just felt, I think it just felt too young for me. And also the characters, like, or at least the actors seemed a little too young to play the older versions of themselves too. And I felt that
Right.
that was like I think it was like, I liked all of the stuff, the flashbacks. I think they were like, I think Zendaya did really well with that. Like I bought her as a tennis player. I bought her as this, but when she's supposed to be like, you know, in her 30s and just
Yeah,
like,
Zendaya can't play
mom.
like 30s. Yeah, and also there like came a point like halfway through the movie where I'm like, these are kind of all like really unlikable people, and I just sort of don't care who ends up with who. Like, and that's
wait. So what I'm hearing from you is the bad people were bad, and that's what I didn't like.
but they're not supposed to be in challenges. You're supposed to care about like the situation, aren't you? I don't know.
So the one of the challenges I had with challengers is the non-linear format. Like non-linear is fine, and one of my favorite films this year was Strange Darlings that uses a non-linear format. But because they didn't make big distinctions between like where you were in time, it would be like they'd be like 6 years later, and I'm like, but 6 years from the original zero datum timeline, 6 years from where we just were, like. And like you said, because it's not like you're using different actors to play different ages, I'm like, okay, and they're all kind of wearing the same outfits all the time because it's
I
tennis.
think you had to like go by their hair and you had to, or their facial hair. You had to go by the music. That's what I was going by. Like, okay, this is. I'm like, why are they listening too hot in here? I'm like, oh, okay, that's back.
Now Zendaya has a 30-year-old's haircut. Yeah.
I
What movie was
don't
it?
even think they were in their 30s, but they just felt like, because I think it was like what 10 years after, and I guess they're like 19. I think they're supposed to be like late 20s, but they definitely gave off I'm in my 30s vibes. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean they have very adult lives at one point. And what movie was it this year that started with like 6 years later? It's like
that's Strange Darlings, right?
I didn't see Strange Darlings though.
What?
It might have been.
You didn't watch Strange Darling.
I'll watch it. It might have been Smile too, but
that was like
Smile too. No, I think
that was 6 days later.
6 days later.
6 days. Yeah.
Strange Darlings.
Like nothing's happened yet.
Strange Darlings is this film. This story is in 6 parts, I believe, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's like part 3, part 4, part 1, part 6. Like it's actually, well, this is a good segue into Strange Darlings. So Strange Darlings is like, if you like grindhouse, like 70s style grindhouse, like you're gonna love this movie. And like I was watching it, and because it is in these like different segments, there's this period where I'm like, oh man, what this dialogue feels like it's like really overblown. Like we're in this scene, these scenes way too long. And then when you get to the final ending and the whole movie comes together, you understand why you needed all this dialogue, because it's not quite backstory, but it's definitely like character and mood setting. Like Serena, you saw Stranger. I thought you guys talked about Strange Darlings.
I think I did. I think I did.
Yeah, you did a little bit. Yeah,
we did a little bit. Yeah, because you went to see Blink twice that week, and I went to see both. And I like Strange Darling a lot. I think it's like a play. Like it really works like a play. I found that I knew the twist immediately. Like it was because of the non-linear format. I turned to my brother like 5 minutes in, and he's like, "Oh, fuck you! Like, why do you always have to?"
But there's the twist. There's the twist, but then there's lots of like little twisty stuff that's happening. Like that ending. And again, I'm not going to give any of this away. But when she gets in the truck or whatever, like that ending, that final, you're like, oh shit! It's like.
I think they were phenomenal. Like, both actors are great. And like, I think that I love the marketing for this movie because they show you a trailer and then they have a quote from Mike Flanagan in the trailer saying you must go in blind with this movie. And I'm like, then why are you showing the trailer? And I
Right.
felt the trailer kind of, if you haven't seen the trailer, don't just watch it because I felt the trailer kind of gives it away as well. So, which I thought was funny that they had a quote saying go in blind.
Well, and it opens like a chainsaw. Like it's just like boom, you're on screen, car, rifle being shot at, person driving car. You're like, what the fuck is going on? And like, I can't believe that the cinematography is done by Giovanni Ribisi. Like, this is, I think, his first job as a cinematographer. Like, it looks
Did
amazing.
a really good job. I think like I was scared at the movie because it opens up like shot on 35 millimeter.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, what?
It
Like
says that?
yeah, it says that. It says shot on 35 millimeter, but you're seeing it on clearly on a DCP. I know they made it 35, but like I would love to show it the 35, but I just thought it was kind of weird to start your movie off that way. You're like, well, don't tell people that. They don't open your movie like shot on 35. Like, ooh.
But that's why, you know exactly why they do that. That is the exact reaction that they were getting from people like this guy right here. Like, oh, I'm gonna fucking love this now.
Yeah, but if you're not seeing it on 35, then what's the point of including it, you know? So yeah.
Well, it's like, what do you say that's like the kind of trigger warning at the start of Blink Twice. Like you thought I went to see that movie just because you told me there was a trigger warning on it. That's not why I thought. I just needed something to see. But
Gotcha, bitch.
but I don't know. Yeah. How much?
Yeah,
do you see
no,
of the
it was
second?
very strange. Like you had to do a trigger warning, especially that one. It does give away the twist, right? But I
Right.
get why they had to do it. I'm sure Zoe Kravitz was not happy with that, but I think
She could have like insisted on it even. I don't know.
I know it was MGM just put it on without her knowledge.
Oh,
So
really?
they had to, I think that they just, it was like, I think the movie treats everyone like adults. I think that trigger warning was like, it was sensitive, but it basically does give away everything. And it kind of makes you more tense as to like, well, when is this shit
When's it
going
coming?
down?
Yeah.
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 So
I mean,
On the topic of sorry to cut you off there, from Mark. On the topic of 35 millimeter, I actually was at the Kingsway last night. Do you know
no,
that theater?
we're not talking about the Kings.
Okay, that also answers an internal question I had. But I saw 35 millimeter prints of Tanner and the 14 Fists of McCluskey. So that was kind of cool. Did you guys are picking up that reference, right? Okay, so I saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yes. Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, the theater is much bigger than I expected in real life. That's not what she said. And but it was fucking freezing because there was like 4 people in the whole theater.
Yeah.
And it's so big that I was like, I almost had to put my jacket back on so I didn't fucking freeze to death in there.
Wow.
Yeah. No, we're in a battle. You should come to the review. We're showing 35 all the time.
I go to the review all the time.
Really? I have
Yes.
never. Well, I don't see you. But maybe
wow. I'm sorry. Well, Serena,
you should tell me.
I don't announce my presence. I mean, I do that.
Wait. Yes, you do.
Wait to now.
I mean, he's had you on the show twice. He must be a fan of the review.
I love you.
I'm now going to flex my my pretentious bona fides. So one of my favorite films is a movie released called The Girl with the Needle. It's also nominated. It's on the short list for the Oscars for the international films. It's a Danish film by Magnus von Horn. It's one of the most depressing movies you can watch. It's post World War I. It involves like getting impregnated and then fired and then infant murder because it's based on like an infant murdering serial killer. It's like I said, black and white, 4:3 aspect ratio, like just the saddest score and gorgeous. But like this is like the type of, like when you say like European cinema, you're like, yeah, like you get that vibe. It is a wild film though. Like again, it just is soaked and drips in sadness.
I think I see the poster behind
Yeah,
you.
see, we showed it at the theater for the Polish Film Festival. I'd never seen it, but it was the one that was the most attended. So
Did you watch it? Like you were there, right? So you saw it?
I didn't see it, but I was there to test it. But it definitely, I think it's almost sold out. So Yeah, it was the big movie of the film festival.
It's like watching Cold War, and I mean, obviously, Cold War is also shot in black and white, but like, it's like, and I feel like a lot of different people have talked about this in the film community, that how Canada, we have some stuff that's great with telefilm, like having that money and stuff, but like telefilm would never make this fucking movie. Like, it's so brutal that, like, if you were a filmmaker and you came with this story, the only people that kind of could do this is like Indigenous people talking about residential school, maybe like oh, what's his name that passed away, Blood Quantum.
Oh yeah,
Jeff Barnaby, like with Rhymes with Young Ghouls, would be in the same like level of like pure emotional sadness. But again, I feel like we play it really, really safe. And then like you got the French and stuff like that that are just making these amazingly, wildly good films, like things like Detention. And like, are you gonna let your filmmakers like say something, or are we just kind of basically making Canadian heritage moments here? You know,
we do a lot of that. I feel like Guy Madden's probably our most sort of adventurous of sort of the big name Canadian filmmakers, right? I didn't see his last movie, but I've heard mixed things on it. This movie, Girl with the Needle, where can I watch it? Is it like,
I think it's on Mubi now, or it's going to be on Mubi. Mubi, I believe, is the distributor. Do I have that right, Serena?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
cool?
It's just watch even the trailer, and I think you'll definitely want to put it on your watch list if you're a film person. Like, but it's so sad. Like I don't know, man. Maybe if you're having a rough day, do not. Although maybe after your rough day, you watch this and you're like, yeah, life's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know. I always kind of wonder about that. Like, even with sad music, it's like, when am I in the mood to hear this? Is
Yeah,
it when I'm really happy or when I'm already sad? Like, what's the easiest way to like let the medicine go down? But I'll watch it. Yeah.
But just to circle back to Anora before we kind of forget about it, like, because I think everybody here saw Anora, correct? Scott, I know you did.
Yeah.
Do you think so? I think it's like beautifully shot. We actually had a bunch of sex workers come on to talk about the film.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So one is a porn screenwriter from Montreal. And so she writes for a lot of stuff for Pornhub and stuff like that. And then we had like a totally full service sex worker come on to talk about like the representation. And they were like, kind of the one thing, Scott, feel free to correct me on this, that they brought up was like, on one hand, she's like got all this like great agency, and she's this super streetwise character until she's not. Like, it's like they really did not love the way she kind of fell, whether it was head over heels for the Russian oligarch's son, right, or was just still trying to get her nut, like get her piece of the action or whatever. That was the one criticism that like the people from that industry felt like they had with them, not the acting or any of that type of stuff. So
I think that once she was married, I think she felt secure, and maybe that's why she seemed a little weaker. But I mean, she wasn't. She was fighting for most of it. I like, the problem with I have the movie is that they're not likable characters, and that's, like a lot watching the beginning of it, I'm like, ugh. And also, like,
Right.
I'm older. I don't want to watch two young kids fuck all the time. But
Not a Euphoria fan? No.
Euphoria first season, great. After that, it was garbage, just like The Idol was.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I think the movie, the best part of the movie is the chase, like, and being stuck with these goons, and it's so funny. Like, I also like talked to a lot of people because everyone's like, oh, it's so sad, it's so sad. I thought something really fucked up was going to happen I thought we were going to have like a Looking for Mr. Goodbar situation at the end of the movie, and I was just like, when I talked to people, I'm like, what was so sad about it?
Right.
And what about go ahead, Mark.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. I was just, my thing with Anora, I liked it, but I had this feeling throughout it. It's like, you got to give me something more. I need some kind of character revelation or something. And I saw like a lot of people criticizing the very end of the movie. I won't spoil it. But to me, that like the last 10 seconds of the movie make the whole movie.
Yeah.
It's like you've just recontextualized everything and kind of finally given me the moment I was waiting for. But I know that also people have a lot of people like are very sensitive towards how sex workers are portrayed in films. But yeah, I mean, my take is a lot of the time that life is just not easy, and we are all victims of capitalism, no matter what we have to do. And so I am glad they put that part in. It is an interesting film. I think Sean Baker's movies at their best, like the realism of them is just so spot on. And with Honora, I think it's like 5%, not quite there. In a way that in the Florida Project, this feels super well observed the whole time. But like a lot of the kind of Gen Z dialogue sort of feels like he read a lot of like Reddit threads and things, but I don't know.
Yeah,
did like
I
it.
like the development between the other goon, like you know, like you're just realizing that maybe
Yeah.
he's not, like because they have basically the same life. I think he just kind of accepted his terms, like he accepted what his life is, whereas she
Yeah.
is, you know, I'm just gonna use transactional relationships as I have control over the situation, and you know, just seeing like I know I don't want to give away too much of the ending, but just like with the bags, like just seeing someone take bags out and put them like at her door, and that just like blew her mind. I didn't know how to feel about that. I thought it was a little too like on the nose as to
Mhm.
like what she's probably feeling. But yeah, I mean, the ending, I think it was but it was like there's people coming out of the theater like either mad when we showed it or crying. And I think that's, I mean, it says something. To me, it was good, but it didn't hit me the way that it's hit other people.
Is it which is it your favorite Sean Baker films? Like for sorry, let me rephrase. Is it the favorite for either one of you? Is it your favorite Sean Baker film, or do you
It
have a
was
different
definitely the most like I felt like it was not as yeah, I think I was it's the most entertaining one for sure. I would say for myself, but I don't know if it's like the outcome was not as bad as I thought it was going to be for a Sean Baker film. Let's just say that.
Yeah, fair
Yeah.
enough. Fair enough. What about you, Mark?
I think the Florida Project for me is a slightly stronger movie, though not by a lot. I do agree that Honora is more kind of entertaining because it is sort of this after hours type comedy a lot of the time, and so it's more of a genre movie that way. Um, yeah, I agree. I didn't like the I didn't like the guy she married very much either, and you are kind of hanging out with sort of repulsive people a lot of time. It is interesting that like the movie is called Honora, but she's the character that we know the least about, really. You know,
That's
it's,
true. That is true.
Yeah, and you don't really know her name until halfway. Like she just keeps calling herself Annie, right? But I can't you can't call the movie Annie, right?
yeah,
So yeah, I think but yeah, the young guy, I just couldn't stand. I was just like, what the
But
hell?
that is a
yeah,
testament to like how good he played that. Like
yeah.
you hate, and again, it's
He's the
that
type.
he like exactly what you think some oligarch's son is gonna be like, right? Like
Yeah.
I,
And
I w-
then, you know, like I knew exactly what was going to happen. Like I knew. I was just like, "Oh, this poor girl is so blind right now." And at that point, I don't think it had anything to do with money, but it had to do with the lifestyle, but also like she had kind of let herself feel and like instead of like, you know, treating it like a transaction and with this prick. And yeah, so it was just like I don't know.
yeah,
I um I think he did a really good job. But it was I mean, he looks like he's 16
yeah.
and it was really kind of weird to watch these sex scenes and I think they're under fire too because they didn't have an intimacy coordinator on set. And
Well, didn't she though? Didn't she? What's her name? Didn't she actually decline one?
she did decline one. I think the argument is that you should always have one.
Yes, and I would agree. I mean, actually, yeah, Mark is a filmmaker as well. Like, what are your thoughts on intimacy choreographers or coordinators or?
yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think like I've directed in low budget movies, like at least like kind of heavy makeout scenes. They're not comfortable to do, and so I think it's good. I think it's good to like make the actors comfortable more than anything. But I also feel like I I don't know, like it is a budget issue a lot of the time also.
Yeah.
But that doesn't preclude
I mean,
the
she
importance of
seems
that.
like
You know?
just because she was comfortable with it, I think the argument is like, what if she wasn't? I mean, look at the situation with It All Ends With Us. Like, look at that situation,
Mm,
and right? And it just blew up yesterday with
What
the
happened?
suit.
Oh my
Um,
God.
the director who just has prick written all over his face, right? And he's actually an actor in the movie too. He's the abusive
yeah,
husband
isn't
character.
he from what was the TV show Jane the Virgin?
Yes, I think so. Gorgeous man, but definitely has this like kind of Patrick Bateman look to him. Um, and
Also the producer. Like
and
it
the
was
produ
his studio's the one that has the rights to this.
so I mean, it was this whole summer there was a feud between them. It was like, rumored feud, but it was talked about so much that it just made sense. Like they were never on the red carpet together. They don't follow each other on Instagram. Even the writer doesn't follow him and some of the stars. So yesterday the lawsuit, like it was just that Blake Lively put out about like how he is a sexual harassment lawsuit, that he would try to force her to do other sex scenes that she didn't agree upon. He would talk about his sex life. He would show pictures of his wife naked. So there's certain things where I feel like if you have it,
does he not know that she's married to Ryan Reynolds? Like, I know this is like a bad take, but like, dude, she ain't interested.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
but-
granted, she had some bad shit, like some bad press this year too. So that's their argument. Like they're like, oh, she's just trying to cover for herself. But then they have the receipts. They have like these text messages between the PR pros and him, and they're like, oh, we're gonna get her and whatever. And I'm like, ooh, this is gross. And but again, like there's situations like that where I feel like if you did have an intimacy coordinator on set and like it does control that situation with between like sometimes directors can make you do things you don't want to do. And in this case, in Honora, it wasn't that case. But, like I see people, I understand when people are like, why is this a big deal? And I'm like, because it's just to protect you. And it should just be an option. If you don't want it, then at least have them on the side. But yeah.
But there's more sex scenes in Honora than just the two of them. Like actually, when I saw the movie, there was like an entire family watching it in front of me who walked out in the first shot of it.
What did they think they were seeing?
I don't know. It was like a matinee showing. It was packed, and they just like all like, nope, we picked the wrong movie. Like, I don't know.
The 5-year-old's like, but Dad.
I want to see how this ends up.
Interesting how like certain films, especially movies about sex like this, kind of like where people, I'm like, I don't understand how this is the one that is like everyone has to see it, and it's and you do see people bring in their families. I'm like, no, this is not the movie for that.
I mean, the thing is too, like Honora's not a sexy movie per se. The sex scenes are, as you said, very transactional in it. It's like these kind of like bunny fucking fast cut scenes that are just like, okay, that happened.
But there's nothing about Sean Baker that would make me be like, you know what? I'm going to take my like little nephew to it. Like there's nothing in his catalog. Nothing. Not Florida Project. Not Red Rocket. Like nothing. Like I know there's some. Yeah.
I would guess they saw that poster that's behind you and are like, this looks fun. And yeah, that's all they
yes.
knew.
Yes.
Look at this nice romance. Like look at teen fantasy romance movie. Yay.
Two star-crossed lovers come together in Vegas for one night of pure bliss.
I was gonna say it's probably the marketing, especially on the TikToks, on their TikTokies, because I know when my daughter was 12 years old, she was watching the Florida Project because all these scenes started popping up on TikTok about how much you have to watch it, kind of thing, and then I had to like put the kibosh on it because I'm like, once I did the research, I'm like, yeah, I don't think this movie is for you, right?
But they go to Disneyland, Scott. They go to Disneyland.
That is like the best fucking the best gorilla scene in film, because you just know he was just running around them with his phone, and people are like, oh, look at that dad watching their kids.
Yeah, it was a cool shot.
What else do you guys have? Like, what other films is it that like you people need to see like for the end of this year?
The Substance, I would say if you haven't seen The Substance, go watch that. It's on Mubi right now. Yeah.
That ending, that second ending, fuck, man. Like, what's that? It's like 15 minutes more or 20 minutes more?
20 minutes more. I mean, that we discussed this on our podcast. I'm like, I liked it. Did we need it? No. The ending could have ended with her just on stage. I think that could have been fine, but the fact that they went there was interesting. But yeah, it definitely is 20 minutes too long. I will say that.
The best part about this, so I'm watching The Substance and I'm like, oh, I think I'm gonna recommend this as like intro to body horror, right? Like it's a good intro to body horror. And then that second, and I'm like, nope, no, I will not make that recommendation because this is like some of the most extreme stuff I've seen. And again, just because it just keeps going and going and going.
Yeah, no, I think The Substance is a very kind of hardcore movie for how big it got. You know, I liked it. Yeah, I'm not sure I would watch it again for a while, maybe 10 years, but Yeah, that was a ride. That was like Serena and me talked about how there wasn't a ton of substance in the substance, but
No.
it's the experience of it. It felt like Natural Born Killers to me. It's like, how far can we push this one idea? You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, that's a good parallel. Scott, do you have anything you want to say on the substance before, or any other movies you want to bring up?
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it as well. I think like in terms of this year, I think in terms of genre, I think horror did really well. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of good horror.
Did you guys
right?
see?
And
Did you guys see? I saw the TV Glow.
I did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was a good one. Yeah, and it was that's the one that really affected a lot of people, I think. Um I thought it was, oh, like, I think me and Mark had the same kind of vibe. Like, we're just like, it was good, but there was also like, it wasn't made for us, maybe. So it was just, but it's like, if you are like a Buffy fan or Twin Peaks fan, it was definitely like a really good homage experience.
Yeah, and I was even saying that, like, if you like Stranger Things, that might be something as well, which I don't like. So I'm like, honestly, I've been trying to watch it now. It'll be my fourth go to finish it.
I'm
And I
still
just
in season 2. Yeah.
No, I'm talking about. Oh yeah, no, yeah. I can't watch Stranger Things, and I can't get through. I saw the TV Glow. Like, I'm at the midpoint, and I'm like, nothing's happened really yet. And it's very atmospheric, and again, it's vibey. It's very vibey.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, where is this? Like, I halfway through the movie, you don't even know if it's genre, like, because nothing really genre-y has happened. But I guess Twin Peaks is probably a good like parallel, because it's kind of just like kooky and weird, right?
I don't even know if I would call I saw the TV Glow a horror movie. It's it is kind of this weird style of filmmaking that I think's probably been around forever, but you're seeing more of now, where the emotions are placed ahead of the plot. And it's just like it's just all feeling, and you're like, what is this movie about? And like, that's the mystery of it. Right.
Well, it's about accepting who you are. And I think that, and then,
Yeah.
it's about like a trans experience as well. And I don't even think just trans, like, it could be like any, like, if you feel different, and if you don't feel like you should be the person, if you're not the person that is in your body, then it's like, it's a really sad experience for you if you don't want to be who you want to be. Yeah.
Yeah, and to me, like, the idea that you can relate to a piece of media more than anything in your real life is a very kind of interesting topic.
Says 4 people that are like film
yeah.
critics.
Totally, because
Very
I understand that to a degree. Like, I was obsessed with Buffy when it was new.
Yeah.
And
I think the best part of that movie is when he watches the show again, and all of a sudden it just looks cheesy, and he feels embarrassed that he was so obsessed with this, and I feel like that's very relatable.
That's when I rewatch Bloodsport. And you're like, God, this is a fucking bad movie, man.
Bloodsport is Donald's favorite movie,
Oh, is it?
No.
Oh, we're not allowed to say that name.
Well, we weren't going
yeah.
Well, no, because like for some reason when we go to promote our YouTube channel, if there's any of the big like tea like conversations in it, like it flags it as like electoral interference or something.
Really?
Shit.
Okay, shit.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a
Okay.
good jumping off point, because 2 films. So there's 2 films that I may want to make sure that people are aware of. So I've been delaying watching The Apprentice, the new film about the President T there, and I just watched it. It's sick. It is a fucking sick, like almost like an homage to like 70s punk rock, like. And again, another adjacent film is if you guys haven't seen Kneecap about the Irish hip hop group. It's sort of like a modern 24-hour party people, Human Traffic meets 8 Mile. And again, it's also been nominated for it's Ireland's submission to the Oscars for international film. And these guys are dope because they pulled out of South by Southwest because they're very pro-Palestinian resistance. They're also very anti-Britain controlling any aspect of Ireland. And so with South by Southwest, because it's funded by the United States military, they're like, fuck off. Half the movie's in Gaelic, like in Irish. Like, it's fucking intense, man. So yeah, I definitely recommend people see The Apprentice or Kneecap.
Yeah, see Kneecap in your poster as well, on the left-hand corner.
I'll watch them both.
Did you like them?
No, I said I will watch them both.
Oh, you will watch them both. Serena, aren't you guys playing? For some reason, I thought that you guys are playing Kneecap.
Which one?
Kneecap.
No, we're not playing Kneecap. No.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say Kris buries his lead with his backgrounds there.
But it's a good reference, yeah. I also like Conclave a lot, which I see behind you.
That ending, and again, and we won't give it away. The ending in Conclave, like it blew my mind. And like there were
Great
old
ending.
people that got like audibly angry
I've seen
with
a
that
bunch of
ending.
like YouTube critics get angry at that end, but if you're paying attention to the movie until that point, it's kind of the whole movie is about like the change in Catholic Church and the church adjusting to the times. It's a fitting ending, in my opinion.
Do you guys have any other films that you really want to stand behind, or anything else?
Yeah. I got two because I'll do
Okay.
mine quickly. One is the French film, the Count of Monte Cristo.
How did you wait?
Oh,
I
where
couldn't
did you
find it
see
with
that?
English subtitles.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
Yeah, I watched it in French. My kids speak French, so I just
yeah,
had
don't.
them I just had them translate it for me. So
It's playing
So
at
they
TIFF
just-
Light. I think it's playing at TIFF Lightbox right now, so that might have English.
yeah, I rented it on Apple. It was like $4.99, but it is fucking good. Like it is stunning. I think it's the most expensive French movie ever produced, and you could see all the money like watching this film. And The Count of Monte Cristo is my favorite story, so I liked watching that too. But performances were knock on. I don't know any of these fucking actors, and I can't even pronounce any of their names, but it is fucking amazing film
So
to watch.
I rented it on Amazon, being like, there's no way this does not have English subtitles. Like, I know that's super Anglo forward, but it's also the most French thing to spend all that money on this beautiful fucking movie and then be like, ne pas d'anglais, fuck you. Like, I
Gotta
was
learn
like,
the language to
Wow.
watch it.
They showed it at Fantasia Film Festival, and I remember being like, we just got there. It was just like, oh, 3-hour movie? Absolutely not. Let's go drinking. And then the friends who actually did watch it, they're like, that's like the best thing I've seen all
did it have
year.
English subtitles at Fantasia? Do you know?
They did. Yeah, yeah.
What the fuck? Like, why are they not releasing it with the fucking English subtitles then?
But yeah, I'll
Yeah.
say that too. Like the length, like it's super engaging that you don't really think about the length while it's going. Like, and in contrast, like I watched Kevin Costner's Horizon, and that I was like, man, this should just be a TV show with 1 hour breaks, because I'm like, this is just dragging on. But yeah, The Count was fucking really good. The other one I really liked, and it's my favorite movie that was released this year, is We Live in Time. Like,
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, I heard
Bring
about that. Yeah.
bring the fucking tissues,
Yeah,
right?
I'm
Like,
not in the
But-
mood for tearjerkers anymore. Just
That's
not.
the Andrew Garfield one, right? And
Yeah.
42? Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but that's the thing, like how you guys were talking about like with Honora, how like the sex scenes are just like transactional, like these, like I don't know if Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield are married, but if they are, their spouses might want to like take a look and like check their phones, because like you're just like, I'm pretty sure they're really fucking into this. you
You
like
just sold it
feel
to everyone. Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna go watch that now.
I would say The Soul Eater. That was one of my movies that I haven't, we never talked about it on the podcast, but it was something I saw at the film festival at Fantasia last year, directed by the guys who did the movie Inside, the really gnarly French horror film. It's a French horror thriller about, it's a police procedural about missing kids and possible paranormal activity.
Oh, okay. What's it called?
The Soul Eater.
Oh, The Soul Eater. Okay.
Is it like French Extremity again, or
It's really not as bad as Inside. It does get icky, but it does not. There is no baby being taken out of someone's belly, so don't worry about that.
okay?
I mean, you could probably watch that with The Girl with the Needle, because then there's kidnapping and child murder. So
Get all
it's a
the,
good double
the
feature.
grim
There's
double
definitely
bill
child
over
murders
with
in this one, unfortunately, but it's a lot of murders.
Did you guys see Nosferatu yet?
No,
Yeah,
I
it's
was
not played
supposed
here
to,
yet.
and I missed it. It was like an 8:30 in the morning screening, and I had taken out all the programmers the night before, and woke up at like 8 o'clock. I'm like, no.
So
I'm good."
Serena, you should probably check your emails more often when I email you, because like I had an extra media pass to see it at the IMAX screening, and I was gonna be like, hey, you should come down and hang out with Scott and our other media critic friend, but you didn't get back to us. So
Wait.
Oh, I did not. Some of your emails get into my spam, so
Sorry.
I don't know
Wait.
why.
You're just assuming she didn't read the email.
Ah,
in my
touche.
head, in my head, she saw it like delete.
It takes like 3 days to answer an email for everyone now. Yeah.
Because I thought because of who you guys are, you might have seen it. Scott and I went and saw it, and then we had a whole thing about it because we definitely did not agree on that movie.
I was like not
Okay.
a huge fan of The Witch, and I felt like I was just like, do I like I would watch this if it was a normal time, 8:30 in the morning after I've been hungover. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna actually, even if I do like this, I'm not gonna like it
30,
probably.
Jesus.
Yeah. Way too
Yeah.
early to watch.
So yeah, I mean, I think like The Witch and Lighthouse are both very, very restrained movies in a lot of way. Whereas when is it called The Northman?
The Northman, yeah.
Yeah, when that came out, it was like the opposite. It was like so extreme. And I'm kind of curious which direction his Nosferatu goes in. I mean, because for me, like the like Werner Herzog's Nosferatu is like a fascinating movie because there's not a ton of special effects in it or anything, but it's just the world looks very alien in it, the natural world. And
Well, he shoots it very natural, like
Yeah.
almost documentary style. And you're right, like almost not natural light all the time, except obviously there's some night scenes where they have to light it. But other than that, it's just like it's like if a vampire was real and you had a camera and you shot what that vampire was doing. That's Werner Herzog's feeling.
yeah, for sure. So the Robert Eggers one, like what is it? I've heard some people say it feels very like the style's very oppressive or something. Like
So I basically treat it as like it's an all show no go. Like I felt like it's like there's scenes that like look really well. I think my big statement was he should have made Dracula, like actual Bram Stoker's Dracula, because you can see he tries to do psychosexual. There's some sex scenes that there's a specific sex scene that I'm just like, for fuck's sakes. It's also like super male gazy because there's the protagonist, Lily Rose Depp's character, basically tells her husband, played by Nicholas Hoult, that Nosferatu satisfies her in a way that he can't. And then, of course, he just like takes her and ravages her right there on the camera. And I'm just like, this just it's not working.
Right.
Also, there's a lot of times where actors feel like they're in different scenes with the other actors. Like we're not acting opposite each other. It's like, I'm going to play my role this way and you're going to play your role this way. And then we're just going to jam those two fucking things together. Like, yeah. And it was too long. It's 2 hours and 15 minutes. Again, great. There's some great cinematography and some decent acting, but like the dialogue is garbage. Like I was highly disappointed in this film.
Oh, too bad.
Scott, you liked it?
I did
I guess?
like it. Yeah,
Okay.
I did like it. Right. Like for me, I told, because Kris kept on, and I think you can tell he keeps on comparing it to every other fucking vampire movie. He's like, it should be fucking Francis Ford Coppola's
Should be Dracula, Dead and Loving
it should be Vern. Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't compare it to like, he doesn't like look at it for what it is, right?
But I compare it to other Nosferatus, and I'm like, it's a subpar version of Nosferatu. Like,
but I think like going in knowing Eggers' style, right? Like if you're a fan of his and what he does, you're gonna like it, right? And it's full Skarsgård, right? Like you see it all. So
I think if you like the Norseman, like the kind of like it's not surrealism, but it's a bit art house, I think you might like Nosferatu. Nosferatu is also, as you guys know, is like it's a much simpler story than Dracula. So like that opens up the opportunity to fill in the blanks. But then if you fail to, like, you're not working off this great text like Bram Stoker's Dracula is, right? Like there's a lot of like solid character development that's already happened in the novel. You just take that, put it on a screen. Nosferatu, he's not sexy. Like Nosferatu is not a sexy vampire, right? He's the exact opposite of a sexy vampire. So anyway, I know Mark's got to go on a plane to Boston. Go Bruins.
Yeah. Should I go to a Bruins game? I'm not a hockey fan.
I'm not a hockey guy either. So.
Okay.
I mean, I'm from Montreal, so I would say no.
The fans will be everywhere no matter what. Yeah.
Are you guys all ready for your holidays and everything else?
Yeah, just staycation. I'm gonna be hosting Christmas with my family and then just chilling out. I need to chill out. I don't want to be at the theater. If I'm going to be at the theater, it's to see a movie and not to work. So
nice. Do you still see movies at the Revue?
Yeah.
Like just go and hang out and sit in the back and
that's my spot. I sit in the back. Yeah. But yeah, this I did a lot of I did like Jason X, Die Hard, and Hard Ticket to Hawaii for 3 weeks in a row. So I had to host those screenings. So I'm a little movied out, but I do want to see Werewolves, and I didn't get to catch it at the original run.
There's also another vampire movie you guys talked about, like a black vampire movie that you talked about.
That comes out next year.
Oh,
It's
it
the
comes out
Ryan
next year.
Coogler.
Yeah,
yes,
Coogler one.
Spinners. Yeah, I can't wait.
Yes,
That's the one I'm like really looking forward to. So yeah.
Cool.
great. Yeah, Mark, anything else before we let you guys go?
No, I hope everyone has a happy holiday, and I don't know. Yeah, I guess to sum up 2024, I feel Hollywood big studio movies have never been less exciting to me, but I think there's a lot of interesting stuff starting to happen on the outskirts that is exciting. And as was said, it was a good year for horror movies. It's movies getting attention that I don't think would have gotten attention 5 years ago. So it feels to me like we're at kind of like a 90s indie renaissance starting up again.
Well, that's we're gonna let Serena Whitney and Mark Palermo go. Check out their show Movies and Chaos. Again, it is the only other movie podcast you need to be listening to.
Well, thanks so much for having us too. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
And that is our wrap for the day. Please like and subscribe to this podcast. Tell your friends. If you want to get a hold of us, reach us at the www.howdyoulikethatmovie.com.
People are going to be like, why the fuck is this episode so long? But like, that was fun, right?
No, it was super fun. Just some quick hits of movies I didn't get to talk to that people should definitely check out. Sonic 3, Deadpool Wolverine, and Carry On, which may be the next Die Hard.
Is that a Netflix release?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you like, it's like what Die Hard 2 could have been. Right?
Oh, really?
It's really good. It actually was really good. I was surprised by it.
Yeah, and for those that are just tuning in, I really like Deadpool and Wolverine, and my other kind of big film that I have on here was Alien Romulus. I thought that was fairly well done.
Yeah.
Production by Rod Shaver, Vader Monkey Productions.